Sunita, can you give her one of those files? So it's on the, yeah. Okay, let's start. Everyone, please say 3 times together. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Once again, let me wish everyone a very good evening. So on this evening too, please be happy that we could come and practice, develop, could get the opportunity to develop in this Dhamma practice at least little bit forward, right? Little bit more. So before we start, I do the same wish that I do every day. So I sincerely wish that may this session also help you to develop at least a little bit of happiness and inner peace inside you. With that wish, I'm going to start today's session also. So all the students, so we are practicing now. So all students, they are practicing Vipassana meditation, the last step. That means you're observing the sensations from top to bottom and bottom to top, part by part, page by page. So that's what the old students do. And the new students, they are once again requested to practice breathing meditation as usual. So if you are a new student, please, I will so teach you how to practice breathing meditation. So please practice breathing meditation. So if you are a student who is practicing breathing meditation more than 2 months, then if they would like, they can practice the second step of breathing meditation. So whatever the meditation technique that you practice, I sincerely wish that you be very successful in your practice. Right? Okay. Right. Okay. Then, so for the new students, I would like to remind the first step of breathing meditation. So what you have to do is, first, pay your entire attention to your breath, to your incoming breath and outgoing breath. When the breath is coming in, please be fully aware. When the breath is going out, please be fully aware. So when you're observing the breath, don't go with the breath all the way in. Instead, please stop your observation at the end of your nostrils. At the end of your nostrils. So when it passes the end of your nostrils, so let it go. Stay with patience until it comes back. When it is coming back, it will definitely touch the same area, the end of your nostrils, and then it will start going outside. So keep on observing the breath as it is. If it is long, let it be so. If it is short, let it be so. If it is gross, let it be so. If it is soft, let it be so. Just keep on being aware about the breath that you are experiencing right now. Focus on the breath that you are experiencing right now, here and now. So whenever you experience one breath, so let it go and don't think that you are going to experience the same breath again. Every breath is unique and two breaths are not alike. So always, or whatever the breath that you're experiencing right now, it is totally different from the past breath. So you only can experience this present experience of breath, right? Present experience of breath. So only once. You can't experience it twice. So pay your entire attention and keep on observing the present breath, the breath that you're experiencing right now. And the Vipassana students, so they are kindly requested to observe the sensations. So start from the top of your head, right? So part by part, pitch by pitch, keep on scanning the whole body from top to bottom, right? So whatever the sensations that you experience, let it be heat, let it be coldness, let it be hardness, let it be softness, let it be itching sensation, pulsing sensation, blood circulating sensation, pain, sweating, or even the touch of the air. All those things are sensations that you experience. So accept them as they actually are. So don't go to imagine anything, just focus and observe them as they actually are, right? Then understand this sensation is impermanent change, right? So little by little, when you gain the understanding, so about these sensations, then first sometimes you will encounter certain blank areas, right? Even right now, even though you are experienced meditators, sometimes you will encounter blank areas. Blank areas means the areas where you cannot feel any sensation on the body. At such times, please understand, so throughout the body, there are various kinds of sensations. It doesn't mean that on that particular area, you don't have sensations. You have sensations, but right now, you can't feel it either because your mind is not still or your sensitivity has not grown up to the level that you can feel it, right? Your patience has not grown up to the level that you can feel it. So therefore, so understanding that don't feel frustrated. So give a little bit more time to that particular place where you don't feel any sensation, right? Wait therefore. If you stay at one place for 10 seconds to feel the sensation, so stay there for 20 seconds. If you don't feel any sensation after 20 seconds, then don't feel frustrated. Understand and accept the reality. This is not a competition that you compete with the other meditators. So with a very calm mind, right, understanding the reality, please move to the next part that you are going to observe, right? So then, if you get the opportunity, again, when you observe your whole body for the second time, again, so observe. If you don't feel any sensation at that place, again, understand it in the same way, right? So wait there for 20 seconds and keep on moving, right? Gradually, so your patience, the level of your patience will grow up. The level of your concentration will grow up, right? The sensitivity that you have, it will grow up. And finally, you will start feeling certain sensations that you have never felt throughout your life. There are so many such kind of sensations. Still, you might have experienced one or two, but still you are beginning to feel them. So the balance of your mind, the equanimity of your mind should develop to a certain level to feel certain sensations. If not, you don't feel them. They are very subtle. They are not like sensations that you experience while aching, right? And then, so while having good food, right? So they are not such kind of very obvious sensations, right? They are such kind of sensations, we only can see them when our mind is developed to a better level, good level, right? When your sensitivity, when your patience, the balance of your mind has developed to a certain level. So be patient. Be patient. So, with the concentration that you develop by practicing breathing meditation, please keep on working hard, right? So keep on observing sensations. And later on, sometimes, as I told you earlier, so these sensations, so I don't know whether you will go to that level, but somehow, so these sensations will start to dissolve. In certain areas, you will start feeling, so, uh, so feeling like waves of, so vibrations flowing. Sometimes you might feel it, so on your shoulder, right? It can be any place, right? So you will start feeling them, and they are somewhat, somewhat pleasant, more pleasant than these, the sensations that you're experiencing right now. So even such times, you have to understand, and so you should not get, you should not give too much importance for them, right? Observe them just like the other sensations. Don't give any special importance to them, and understand they also have the same characteristic. They are impermanent change. And gradually, sometimes, so don't wish and pray to feel them. When it is the right time, we'll start feeling. And then gradually, so if you could maintain the balance of your mind, so the area where you feel them will become widened, right? It will become wider. And sometimes in a whole, area of your body, in a bigger area of your body, you will start feeling such kind of sensation. But still, you have to maintain the balance of your mind. They are not everlasting like this. They are also impermanent change. Sometimes, certain meditators will encounter uncomfortable sensations too, right? So sometimes in certain areas, so you will feel, so simultaneously, while you are feeling some kind of good sensation somewhere else, right? You will feel another uncomfortable sensation somewhere else, like fire or something like that. So burning sensation. At such times too, you have to understand they are not everlasting like that. If they arose, they also bound to pass away. With that understanding, keep on observing the sensations as they actually are. We only have 1 month to it. Everything is impermanent, and proving it, now we have come to the last month of Vipassana meditation. For 2024, we only have this month to practice Vipassana meditation. After this month, we are going to practice loving kindness meditation in 2 steps. On November and December, we are going to learn loving kindness meditation phase 1, and on December, phase 2. So please keep working hard. You only, for the Vipassana meditators, they only have this month, right? For the meditators who are practicing breathing meditation, they only have this month too, right? So whatever the meditation practice that you are practicing, may your meditation become very successful. That's what my wish is. Before we turn to the silent meditation time, every day I teach you something for your life, right? Something to adapt into your life as good meditators. Today I'm going to teach you about how to consider, how to work with the good actions. So when you practice good actions, so it has 3 times, it has 3 periods where you have to become happy. right? Number one, so you can write it down. Number one, you have to develop thoughts of happiness before you do a right action, right? Let's say you have to do that particular right action, good action. So in the next month, starting from this month, don't you have the books? All right, cool. Then you can have one of those. Yes, right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So number one, you have to develop thoughts of happiness. So before you do it, right? So that is the first time that you have to develop thoughts of happiness, right? Let's say you are going to give a dana to a group of homeless people, right? So you are going to practice giving, to practice generosity to a group of homeless people in the next month. Starting from this month, you have to develop thoughts of happiness. How do you develop thoughts of happiness? Oh, how wonderful. So how wonderful I am. So how lucky I am. So how lucky I am to engage in this kind of a positive action. In the next month, I'm going to have this great opportunity to donate something to a group of homeless people. Thinking like that, you have to develop thoughts of happiness prior to the good action. Prior to the good action, right? So when you develop thoughts of happiness prior to the good action, at that time too, even before doing that good action, you are going to accumulate a lot of positive energy, right? Then second thing that meditators should do while doing good action is, while doing that good action, you have to develop thoughts of happiness, right? While doing the good action, you have to develop thoughts of happiness. Oh, how wonderful. How great. So I was so fortunate to do this right action. So wholeheartedly, I should focus and engage in this good action. Right? Since you have invested a lot of thoughts of happiness prior to do that good action, right? Now we are already excited. When you are doing that good action, you are happier, right? Then at that time too, you are developing a lot of positive energy. Then number three. So this is the thing that many people don't do. After doing a good action too, you have to be happy. Let's say not only after 1 month, right? After even a year, so or even after 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, still you have to think about the good action that you did in the past. And you should develop thoughts of happiness, thinking, oh, how great, how wonderful. I was so fortunate to do a good action on this particular day, right? Right? Let's say it may be a small thing, right? So uh, all the meditators, I mean, most of the meditators, they come early and they prepare this hall, right, for the convenience of other meditators, right? There is also a time that where you can produce all these three kinds of thoughts of happiness, right? At each of those times, you are going to develop you are going to accumulate enormous amount of positive energy. And even though, so let's say somebody is doing good action, but due to our busyness, right, we cannot participate, right? At such times, still we can engage in that good action and accumulate positive energy. How can we do that? We have to rejoice in the good action that person does. Right? Let's say Mr. Tim is doing a good action, right? Mr. Tim, Mr. Kevin, Mr. Riyansh, and all of us, we hear about that good action. And we say, we rejoice, oh, how great, how wonderful, so nice. It is the niceness of Mr. Tim to do such kind of an action, good action. How wonderful. When you think like that, you develop enormous positive energy, right? So as meditators, please practice this one. Right. And at the same time, you can generate positive energy by encouraging the other people to do good actions too, right? So if someone is not telling lies, you encourage. If someone is not engaging in sexual misconduct, you encourage. If someone is not engaging in, not stealing, you encourage. If someone is not harming the other people, you encourage, right? If someone is not taking intoxicants, you encourage that. If someone is not using abusive words, you encourage that. By that way too, you can accumulate enormous amount of positive energy, right? So this is how you have to behave when it comes to, you have to engage in good actions. So when you go to do them, or when the others go to do them, right? So please practice this way, right? That is the today's advice for you to apply into your life. And now we are going to start today's silent meditation. Everyone, please keep your back straight, neck straight, and head straight. Please keep your right palm on your left palm. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and hold it for a moment and let it go. Take another deep breath. Hold it for a moment and let it go. Now please calm down. Calm down completely. First, I'm going to pay our sincere respect and gratitude towards the Buddha. And after that, we're going to start today's silent meditation. Everyone, please concentrate. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itimiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho viññācarane sampanno sungato lokamino anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manussanam buddho bhagavati Swakato bhagavata dhammo sangdittiko akaliko ehi pasiko opanaiko paccatang veditabbo viññuhiti supanipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujupanipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Nyaya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Sāmici panipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Yadinang cattari purisa yugani Atte purisa puggalam Ese bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ahuneyo pahuneyo Nachineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punya Ketang Lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With a very calm mind, with a very quiet mind, with an alert, very attentive mind, with a balanced, very equanimous mind, very patient mind. Everyone, please start your meditation. If you are a newcomer, please practice breathing meditation as you are instructed. And at the same time, Vipassana students are requested to practice the sixth step of Vipassana meditation, observing the sensations on your body from top to bottom, bottom to top, part by part, pitch by pitch, very ardently. Whatever the meditation practice that you are practicing, that you are going to practice, may your meditation be very, very successful. Everyone, please work ardently for your own benefit, for your own peace, for your own happiness, for your own happiness. Everyone, please start your meditation right now. Now, if your legs are paining, you can change your posture. You can move your legs. Now we are going to practice, but please keep the eyes closed. Please keep the eyes closed. Now we are going to practice loving kindness meditation in brief. We are going to share our loving kindness with ourselves and with all the beings in the world. First, we start with us. First, please spread your loving kindness towards yourself. Please think like this and wish like this while spreading loving kindness towards yourself. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be very peaceful. Please spread your sincere loving kindness towards yourself first. Now, please spread your loving kindness towards your dear parents, your teachers, your relatives, and friends. May my dear mother, may my dear father, may my dear teachers, relatives, and friends be well, be happy, be peaceful. May they be very peaceful. Please spread your loving kindness towards all those people, your parents, teachers, relatives, and friends. Now, please spread your loving kindness towards the neutral people. Neutral people are the people who are not our friends. At the same time, they are the people who are not our enemies. They stand in the middle. Thinking about the people in the middle, please spread your loving kindness, your sincere loving kindness towards them. May all the neutral people be well. May all the neutral people be happy. May all the neutral people be peaceful. May they be very peaceful. Please spread your sincere loving kindness towards the neutral people. Now, please spread your loving kindness towards the enemies. We have various kinds of negativities inside. Sometimes we do harmful things towards others without being able to control our negative emotions. The others are the same. Therefore, no use of keeping grudges inside. When you keep grudges inside, it is harmful to you first. And you are the first victim of your own grudges. The others become victims of your grudge later. So instead of punishing yourself, let that grudge go. And please spread your loving kindness towards the people that wronged you, that you don't like, or the people who don't like you. May all my enemies be well. May all my enemies be happy. May all my enemies be peaceful. May they be very peaceful. Please spread your loving kindness towards the enemies. Towards the enemies. Now, please spread your loving kindness towards all the beings in the world. Let's think about not only human beings, all kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, fish, and all kinds of beings. The beings that you can see, the beings that you cannot see. Let's spread our loving kindness towards all. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be very peaceful. May all beings be very peaceful. Please spread your sincere loving kindness towards all the beings in the world. All the beings in the world. Bhavattu sampe mangalang rakantu sampe devatam samme buddhanubhavi samme dhammanubhavi samme sanghanubhavi sada sutti bhavantu te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now, everyone, very calmly and peacefully, please open your eyes. Let your whole body to relax from top to bottom, bottom to top. Now please join your palms together and say 3 times, Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, hope all of you had a very good meditation session. As I always mention, every tiny step, right? Every tiny step matters. So we had to follow the example of the ant, right? So the ant, even though it's small, it passes thousands of miles with tiny steps, just like that. So little by little. So by practice, through daily practice, we have to develop inner peace and inner happiness as we can, right? So, and at the same time, so I want to remember something related to loving kindness meditation. When you practice loving kindness meditation, so please think about the people when you say enemies, instead of thinking about just enemies as a whole. To check the level of your loving kindness, please think about someone that you don't like and try to spread your loving kindness towards that person. So if it is hard for you to spread loving kindness towards that person, that means your loving kindness meditation has not well developed. So you have to work hard on it, and please try to practice. So spread loving kindness meditation at least towards one individual that you don't like, or a person who don't like you, who doesn't like you, right? So then you can test your loving kindness, right? Please do that during the loving kindness meditation practice, specifically when you are thinking about the enemies, right? And we were discussing about the 10 perfections, so that the meditator should develop. So while practicing meditation, so we taught you about the first one. So 2 weeks ago, this form, can you remember? Generosity, Generosity or dana is the first one. And then number two, Mr. Sakya. Yes, very nice. Sila. And today we are going to learn about the third one, right? So there are two new students. So can you give them, Ms. Shanti, can you give them two of those books for those two students? Thank you so much. Also, if you want, so Paul, you can, if you want, you can have one. Yeah. Right. So sila means moral qualities, developing niceness or moral qualities. That's number two. And then third quality that we need to develop, that we need to perfect as meditators. It is the nikkam. So in simple words, letting go. In deep words, renunciation. Or if it is too hard, letting go. Okay? Renunciation or letting go. We have to practice dana so that we can be able to because of that we gain the ability to practice sila. When we practice sila, then that means moral qualities or niceness, then we gain the ability to practice the third one, letting go, nikkam, right? So when you practice generosity, we become so comfortable in practicing morality or niceness. And then when we practice niceness, moral qualities, then we gain the ability to practice letting go or renunciation, right? So all of these processes interconnected. So as meditators, we have to practice it deeper, but even though you can't practice it like the enlightened beings, just practice as you can, right? Work hard and try to practice as much as possible, right? So letting go. So letting go was practiced so as a cultural practice in India long time ago. So have you heard of these four terms? I mean the Indian students. I'm from Sri Lanka, okay? So these four terms, Brahmachari, Gruhastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. If you have heard these four terms, hands up. Majority of you, most of you know about that. Please hands down. Very nice. This was practiced in the past too. During the ancient time, so during the Vedic period, all the people believed that life should be divided into four parts. Did I teach this earlier? Oh, right, yes. Oh, that's fine. Okay. So somehow I will briefing it. So those days people believed that if our age is 100 years, for 25 years, they believed that we should learn, right? We should learn. 20 to 25, we should learn. So it was called as the Brahmachari period without focusing on anything else. So studying was the main thing. And then after that, so Gruhastha time, domestic period. So after 20 to 25 years of learning, then they believed, so it is the time to marry. And then, they nourish children, and so they keep practicing spiritual practices, but not that much, right? But they still practice. but it's an occasional practice, not a constant one. Then when they reach 40 to 45 years, then they believed it is the time for vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means now, so the time to get ready. So they take care of their grandchildren and so those things, but not that much. So they give majority of responsibilities to their children because they are grown up now. And then at the same time, 50% of their life is dedicated to the practice of, to the spiritual practice. And finally, sannyasa period. So whatever the dharma tradition that they practice, so they believe it is the sannyasa time. So when they are like about so from 60 to 65, so when they reach that age, so they gave up everything and they focused on only practicing spiritual practices, right? So these so this was the so ancient philosophy, right? In our areas, so thousands of years ago. At that time too, they practice these letting go. Finally accumulating everything, they let those things go during the period of sannyas. I don't think everybody did it, but this was the common practice of them. So we have to understand that now gradually when you are developing in this practice, you understand that we get attached to things because things have this characteristic of pleasure, right? Whenever, so let's say any material or immaterial thing which is beautiful, so which is nice, which helps you to develop good sensations, you get attached to that, right? So let's say, so somebody gives you a nice, beautiful mansion. Will you get attached? You like it, so you attach to it. So you get a nice vehicle, right? Will you get attached? You get attached. And then, so there are so many such kind of material and immaterial things that we get attached, right? Why do we get attached to those things? Because of the factor that I told you. What is it? Yes, the pleasure. So it produces so pleasure. But so that pleasure arises inside the mind, right? Inside the mind. Because you think those things are permanent, right? Those things are permanent and not changing. But true, we have to understand this first factor of so having objects which can generate pleasure inside. Buddha called this so philosophical nature, right? As so in according to the Abhidharma terms, deep Dharma terms, Buddha used the word asad. Everything has this nature of developing so pleasure, right? So pleasure. But so then you have to understand, if we don't understand their reality, their impermanence, their changing, what will happen? Then the second so nature also involves here. It is called as adinava. Adinava means so if you stay attached to those things with ignorance, thinking this will ever last, this won't change, then what will happen? When they change, when they get destroyed, you are bound to become unhappy and you are bound to become sorrowful. So, uh, so most of the students have already surpassed the age of 20, 25. I only have one student here, so who has not surpassed that level, but somehow, so in your life, so that small student. So somehow in our lives, sometimes you might have experienced breakups, right? So there are people that you are love, and then suddenly what happened? So you think that this happiness will never last. Something happens, they change. What happens? Then Adina begins. The consequences begins. Consequences of the attachment, right? But actually, if you knew these conditions were to change, these things were bound to change, then these things had that nature. Will you get that much sorrowful? Certain people go to extremes and they harm themselves too, right? Why? Because you don't know the reality of this asad. By attaching, even though so you get attached to those so good sensations, good pleasure. So the pleasure that they develop, so we have to understand they have so they have these natures too, right? So impermanence, so changing nature. If it doesn't happen, then you are bound to suffer, right? So you have to face the adinavas, consequences of your attachment, right? Then third thing what you have to do is so understanding that these things are impermanent. If I get attached to this, I will have to suffer. What you have to do is you have to mentally detach from them, right? Mentally, you have to let them go, right? Let's say, so you have a very nice mansion. If you can afford, you have to buy, right? So it is not bad for you to buy such kind of thing, right? If you can buy the best sports car in the world, so buy the best sports car in the world. But not to show off to the world, and at the same time, so while using it, right? While using it, so what you have to do is you have to stay mentally detached, even though how nice this one is, right? How beautiful this one is. The same nature. What is the nature? This impermanent change. Even the best mansion, one day you break it to build. Even the best car that you buy in the world at that time, after 10 years, you have to buy an updated version. Nowadays, I mean. So somehow you have to throw it away one day for old iron, right? So to take out all for old iron. And then at the same time, so whatever things that you materially pile up around you, you have to leave them behind one day. This is the reality, right? So third thing is nisarana, letting go. So how to practice letting go? First, you have to understand and you have to accept the fact that there are things which gives us pleasure, so that we feel pleasure. But if we attach to them with ignorance, without understanding their nature of impermanence, their nature of changing, then we are bound to suffer. The wise person understanding this, so that person uh, goes away from the fantasy and lives with the reality, with peace of mind. With the peace of mind, what is with this understanding? So developing peace of mind, what is the understanding that we develop? This will also pass away. Impermanent change, right? It doesn't mean so you don't, because everything is impermanent, you do nothing. No, you live accordingly. So you accumulate wealth for the benefit of yourself, for the benefit of others, to live comfortably, and so that you can practice the dharma comfortably, right? So at the same time, by mind, you have to develop this detachment, right? So not only to the money, for everything, towards everything that you are attached to, right? So this attachment, so wherever we go, so it doesn't matter whatever the life that we go into, we get attached, right? So sometimes certain people think that might think that small things won't become things that people can get attached to. No, I told you sometimes certain stories. Hope you remember the story of that grandma. So grandma, so who got rupees and no 10 rupees and one so what do we call it, laddu. So one laddu in his so in her pocket, and then finally when uh, a monkey snatched it away, so how so sorrowful she was. I told you that story, and I'm not going to teach you it again. But somehow in that story, you might have understood, right? Even those small things. So it doesn't matter whether it's a expensive thing or an inexpensive thing. Still, people get attached to them. So outside value doesn't matter. The value that we give by mind, it matters. So let me teach you a small story. The small story to understand that. So the nature of asad. So this is an ancient so Indian story. Two hermits, two hermits were practicing together. And when they grew old, both of them died. One hermit was a good hermit, the other hermit was not a good hermit. Right? He was just faking, but he was in closed doors, he was doing so many bad things. Finally, both of them passed away, and one hermit was born in a good realm. Then the other hermit was born as a beetle. Do you know beetles? So small beetles, as a beetle. So the so the divine being, the friend who went to the heaven, so with his psychic power, he kept on checking where his friend is. First, he checked the whole divine world, but he couldn't find his friend. Then he checked the whole human world. He couldn't find his friend. He was so astonished. So then he started, because this is a hermit, right? Do you know hermits? Right. So they are not actually monks, but lay people who practice. So the sannyasa period, right? So during the last period of their life, right? So somehow now then he checked the animal world. When he was checking the animal world, so he got so he was so astonished to see his friend as a beetle. Right? Now the friend was so astonished, and out of compassion, this divine being thought to take this beetle back to the divine realm. So the divine being went and appeared in front of the beetle. And when he appeared in front of the beetle, beetle asked. So beetle saw this divine being and asked, "So who are you? Why are you here? So why are you looking funny? So flying in the sky? Why don't you come to the earth and stand like me?" Then he said, then the divine being explained the whole story. He said, we were two good friends, right? And we were two hermits, and finally we passed away, and I was born in the divine realm, and you were born in this beetle's world, and I came here to take you to the divine realm. Right? then, uh, then that beetle said, divine world, what is that? So then he started explaining the divine world. Divine world is a place where there is no sorrow. Everywhere there are so many beautiful flower trees and nice trees which are filled with fruits, very sweet fruits. And you can see there is no scene where you cannot see beauty. Everything is beautiful. I was born to such kind of world. I came here to take you to such kind of world. Then that beetle listened to that whole beautiful explanation, yawning. It was a boring explanation for it. Finally, he asked only one question. In that world, he asked, so the beetle asked, do we have cow dung? Then he said, cow dung? What is cow dung? We don't have cow dung. The divine being replied, then I'm not going to come. Why? Why is that? Because so that is the only thing that I like in the world. So if you don't have cow dung, I don't want to come to the divine world. Right? So even though this is a this is a story kind of fable, so somehow it teaches you something. So it doesn't matter whether something is expensive or inexpensive. Still, so the value of it lies in our mind, right? So now it is clear to you. So by mind, so we have to understand this impermanent, changing, and by mind we have to let it go. So there are two things that we get attached to. Please write them down. Number one, material things. So the things that we can catch with hands. So material things. We get attached to those material things. In Pali, they are called as vastu kam. Vastu kam. This attachment is called as vastu kam. And then second attachment that we get attached to is the defilements. All the negativities that we have inside us, so we get attached to them too. Right? So they are called as, in Pali, it is called as klesha kam. We get attached to material things and at the same time defilements. Right? So, vastu kam, that means attachment to material things means, as I mentioned earlier, attachment to houses, so vehicles, people, and such kind of things. And then attachment to attachment to defilements means attachment to passion, attachment to jealousy, attachment to anger, attachment to ill will. So and such kind of, there are so many attachments, right? So there are constitutional things too in this world, right? For an example, because certain people are attached to their nationality, their race, and their language, their region, right? Their caste, right? Like that, we are attached to various kinds of such. So constitutional concepts too. Attachment to these things are called as attachments to defilements and immaterial things, right? Then you have to see, to let these things, right? To detect these things, you have to see them in this way. So when you get attached to things in the world, right? So let it be material things or immaterial defilements. So it is like catching a cobra by its snake. What happens when you catch a cobra by its snake? You neither let it go, or you neither cannot keep it. If you let it go, it is going to bite you, right? So you can't keep it because your hand is aching also, right? So both things are there, right? Therefore, so attaching to objects and attaching to defilements, right? So it is just like catching a neck of a cobra, right? That's one simile. So understanding that we have to let go of our defilements, right? We have to let go of our craving as much as possible that we can, right? And then attaching to material things or defilements, it's just like staying in a tree, on a tree, eating nice fruits, right? While somebody is cutting down the tree, right? So let's say somebody is cutting down a tree and another person is on the tree eating the sweet fruits of that tree. Even though the person who is cutting down the tree asks that person to climb down, so that person is so much into the pleasure of eating those sweet fruits, that person is not going to climb down. What will happen? Either that person will fall and die, or will get an injury which will stay throughout that person's life, right? So therefore, uh, attachment to things, material things, and defilement, it is the same. It is the same. So since we are so much like them, so we don't want to let them go. But when we stay attached to them, what happens is we are bound to suffer too, right? So consequences are bound to come. Adivinava is bound to come. Right? Did you understand? Right? So certain things are little bit deep. So whenever you don't understand, please hands up and let me know. Okay. And then developing craving, developing attachment. So towards material things, and then defilements. So it is just like uh, um, biting a piece of bone which doesn't have flesh. So let's say there is a dog or a cat who is hungry. You give that cat or the dog a, a bone which doesn't have flesh. It will keep on eating and eating, and so biting and biting and biting that piece of piece of bone. But will its hunger go away? It won't go away, right? So attachment to defilements is the same. Even though how much we go after after the material things, and then at the same time defilements, so they won't find the so they won't free so we won't get satisfied. That is the way. We won't get satisfied. So even though you accumulate all those things mentally, then what you have to do is, since we have to face these kinds of situations, what we have to do is little by little. So we have to come out of our fantasies, and then we have to accept the reality. And what is the reality? They are impermanent, they are changing. So you use them so as you need, right? So, but at the same time, mentally, so mentally you stay detached. Mentally you stay detached, right? Then, so another small story which happened during the Buddhist time to understand. During the Buddhist time, there was a courtesan. Do you know courtesan? So, courtesan is not like, courtesan, so is a person, who is a prostitute. But, so she was appointed, considered as a, so, high level, so courtesan in that city in Savatthi. Her name was Sirima. For one night, she charged 1,000 gold coins at that time. 1,000 gold. One gold coin at that time was a big issue. 1,000 gold coins means that was a huge one. But somehow what happened? Sirima gradually, so she had her prime time. Then her beauty started to decay. So when she reached her old age, nobody was around her. So she had certain sicknesses too, but somehow she started to practice dharma. So finally, during the last periods of her life, she had a calm period, so calm time, right? But she suffered because of her past. Somehow, she passed away when she was when she was 50. When she passed away, so her beauty was all gone, right? Miss Trina, do you need water? Right. Okay. So when she was 50, she passed away. But at that time, so she was totally unrecognizable. And then, uh, so she died. So with loneliness, nobody was around her. Then her dead body was hearing the news of her death, people gathered to see Sirima, this courtesan Sirima. Then, seeing her condition, no one could believe this is Sirima. At the same time, Buddha also went there to teach a lesson, teach a teaching to all the people in that city. Buddha went and after doing the basic ceremonies, sharing merits, then Buddha addressed the crowd and the Buddha asked from the people, now who will like to buy this Sirima with 1,000 gold coins for this night. Then everybody kept their heads down and nobody uttered the word. And then Buddha said, okay, let's let go of that thousand gold coins. What about $100? Then still everybody stayed silent. Finally, Buddha reduced the amount into half of a gold coin. So to the amount of half of a gold coin. Still nobody wanted to take. And finally Buddha asked, who does want to take her for free? Then nobody said anything. Buddha said, this is the nature of all beings, right? So even though you are beautiful, even though you are powerful, even though you are rich, it doesn't matter. Finally, everyone, all are under the nature of impermanence. We change and change and change and finally pass away. So Buddha asked everyone to let go of their defilements and develop all kinds of positive qualities and purify their minds, right? So, that's how it is. Understanding the nature of consequences of attaching things. So mentally, realize, understand their nature as you can. So you had developed detachment. So there are certain kind of detachments that we can practice at homes. So these are certain practices of detachment. So number one, taking enough food, not not feeding your desires, taking enough meal, so not to quench your desire, but to maintain your body, right? I already taught you last week, I think. So Buddha told us, as a health habit, to eat, keep in the space for 2 glasses of water, right? So that is at least we have to keep the space in our stomach for 2 glasses of water, right? Then number 2, we have gradually understanding about the nature of this body, right? So that's another thing. And then getting used to simplicity. Instead of buying and piling up all the unnecessary things at your home, so buy the most necessary thing and avoid piling up all kinds of things that you like, right? So keep your house nice and simple, right? Nice and simple and clean too, right? So then another practice of detachment is, letting go is, practicing meditation. So letting go of your defilements. So you practice concentration and wisdom. By that way, you practice letting go too, right? Renunciation. So at that time, you renounce your negativities and you develop your positivities. Got it? Okay. So finally, I would like to finish the whole teaching by an incident which happened in Delhi. So during the Buddhist time. At that time, Delhi was called as the Kururatha, right? Kururatha during the Buddhist time, and this is the time which it was not a republic. Before during the Buddhist time, it was not a republic. But after several years from the Buddha's demise, Delhi or Kururatta became a republic. Right? This incident happened when during the last periods of it as a kingdom. At that time, the kingdom was ruled by a king called Koravi. Right? In this city, there was a very wealthy family. Very wealthy family. This family was called as Rattapalas. Right? Rattapalas. Yes. So the eldest son became a Bante later on. So it's a big story. So so I am not going to relate all that story, but somehow finally this Bante Rattapale came to teach in Delhi after attaining the enlightenment. So he was given permission by the Buddha to go to Delhi and teach. Right? Now he went from Bihar to Delhi. I don't know how many miles. Right? So I think three, four states away, right? So is that a neighboring state? So Delhi, right? So he went from Bihar to Delhi. Then King Koravi heard that this young Bante, has come to his country back again to teach. He is 25 years old at that time, Bante Ratpal, and he was so handsome, and so everybody liked him. Then the king wanted to ask Bante Rattapal. The king was curious, and he wanted to ask Bante Rattapal why he became a monk. So he went to Bante Rattapal and asked, "Oh, you are from one of the wealthiest families in my country. Why did actually you wanted to become a monk?" So then at that time, Bante Rattapal said, "I heard 4 teachings from the Buddha. That's why. So I wanted to become monk." Then king asked, "What are those 4 teachings? Let me state them very fast." Number 1, Upaniyati Loko Addu. That is the first teaching that he heard from the Buddha. That means, the world is not everlasting. So the world is not everlasting. So it is constantly changing. Hearing this, I became a monk. Then king asked, "So how, can you please explain?" Then Bante asked, "Can you remember when you were young? At that time, how were you very strong?" Then king said, "Oh yes, I was so strong. So I could ride horses so well, and I could fight so well, and I thought I was untouchable. But look how I am right now. So I even cannot balance my own body." Then Bante said, "See, that is the first reason that I became a monk, to come out of this nature." Then number 2, second thing, the king asked, "What is the second?" Then Bante said, "I have to be the lamb to myself. Nobody can become the lamb to me." So hearing that, I became monk. Then the king asked, "What is that?" So he said, "Nobody can be a refuge to me. I have to be a refuge to myself." Then, uh, so, then king asked, "How is that possible?" So, see, all these people live comfortably because I take care of them. Then I am the refuge for them. Then that Bante asked, do you have arthritis?" Then the king said, "Yes, I have bad arthritis." When you have that arthritis, when you have that pain, how is it? So sometimes I get too bad arthritis pain. At such times I feel like dying. The successors to my throne, they wait until around my bed until I die. Fortunately, I get cured because of the royal physicians. I have this much pain. Then Bhante asked, can you share that pain with the others? He said, we cannot share it with anybody. Then Bhante said, oh, see, you cannot be so you have to bear all those things all by yourself. So you have to be a lamp to yourself and you have to practice all by yourself. Understanding that, I became Bhante. Then number 3. So Asako Loko Sabbam Pahayagaman. The third teaching that I heard was everything doesn't belong to me. Right? All the things follow their own nature. Right? Follow their own nature. When I leave, I have to leave everything behind and go. Sabbam Pahayagaman. And then, so King asked, can you explain? Bhante said, so all these wealth and the relatives and the armies that you have, when you die, can you take them with you? Then King said, no. So that's why I became Bhante. Then fourth thing, what is the fourth thing? King asked. Then Bhante said, Uno loko atito tanhadas. This whole world is so 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 they are craving all the time, right? They have become slaves for their craving, right? They have become slaves for their craving. So that's why they are suffering. So to come out of that suffering, that craving, I became Bhante, right? So these are the 4 reasons that I became Bhante. Then the king king understood and said 3 times sadhu and asked the Bhante to teach him the very same fact, right? So now we have to understand. So we have to understand that there are things in this world that we get attached to because they have this nature of developing pleasure. So generating pleasure inside. But their reality is impermanence. Understanding these consequences, as wise people, what we should do is mentally we have to let them go. Mentally, we have to develop detachment while using them physically. Got it? Right? Please do like that. And practice letting go. Nikam. And next week, I will teach you about the 4th perfection that we need to practice. Right? Now, everyone, please think. Together, all of us gathered here and practice this noble meditation practice and accumulated a lot of positive energy. And we listened to the Dharma too and accumulated a lot of positive energy. By the power of all this positive energy, please think. May all our troubles be away. May all the good things happen in our lives. Practicing this noble, non-sectarian, pure Dhamma path, may all of us attain real peace, real happiness, Nibbana. With those thoughts, everyone please join your palms together and concentrate. Abhivadana silisse nityang baddha pachayino chattaro dhamma vaddhanti ayuvagno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti me vacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samijjatu. May all of you be well. May all of you be happy. May all of you be very peaceful. Good night, everyone. Take rest and see you again on next Friday with smiles. Good night, everyone. Newcomers, please stay. So I have to give you a paper. Then the others can go. Right, Mr. Bus, good night. Mr. Bus, good night. And Mr. Chris, good night. All right, wait for a moment. So, all right.
Good night, Bante.
Good night, Mr. Bus. Good night,
Good
Chris.
night, Bante.
Good
Good
night.
night, Bante.
Me be happy. Good night, Christian.
Good night, Bante. Thank you so much.
Me with the good habit. Oh, Mrs. Diane, good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you so much for these teachings in the Dharma. Thank you so
I
much.
didn't know if I knew, so I could have made you the host. Right, Mrs. Jing, good night.
Good night, Bonti.
Good night. Good night, Mr. Christian. Mrs. Rita, good night.
Good night, Bante.
Good night. Mrs. Liz, good night. Good. All right. So, Shivanna, good night.
Good night, Bante. Thank
Good
you.
Hey,
night.
Shwa, you was online.
Right, today. Taryn, good night. Taryn, good night. Right. Good night, everyone. Miss Rita, all right. Good night. Mrs. Rita, good night.